Let's pick up here with an exercise. Again, if you're following along, this is on page 60, and he directs us to do exercise box 3.3, conditional exercises. And if you are following along with Stefan Gries' materials, that's here in the scripts and the all exercise boxes. So this is just one exercise, and this has to do with the conditional expressions. We will write a few lines of code in an editor that educates the user to enter 4 at the prompt. First, the script prompts the user to input the number 4, use scan as mentioned in a previous section. When we use scan before, I only used it to input a file, so I'm going to look at it here. And I see that the default is file equals quote quote. So that makes it, the input is taken from the keyboard, which is actually what we want to do here. So I'm going to leave that as the default. And the other two that I see that he used here is the nmax, which says how many characters it will, or how many, let's see how he describes it, the maximum number of data values. So we want just one data value. And then the second one is the quiet, which if you are reading from a file, you might want the quiet to be false so you know how many lines you've read, but here we're only reading 1. So I'll use an AA and scan, and nmax is going to be 1, just want 1 data value, and quiet equals true for this one. So the next thing, I want a conditional expression that tests whether the user did enter 4. So this is where I'm going to get into the conditional. And if you want to try this yourself, go ahead and pause it. Otherwise, I will continue here. So this is going to be an if AA, and I want to see if it is 4. So I'm going to need my open bracket here. And if they did, then I'm going to use the cat to put to the screen. Good. And then I'll do my end of line. If not, so that tells me I want an else, then I'll do an open bracket. Output should say, I'll do another cat. Dummy, this is not 4. Oops, 4. Enter 4 when you are prompted again. And I will do my \n. And actually, I'm going to do a cat statement at the very beginning of here to say, enter 4 now. And I'm going to copy both of those to put right into here. So it's going to scan it again. Another conditional expression follows. So if this time it equals 4, the output should read, so I'll cat to the screen, thanks. Now it is right. I'm going to go after the closing bracket. Else, I need another bracket. And I'll need another cat statement that says, you will never learn. So it doesn't prompt again, it just closes it with that. So that should work. So we're going to start off. It says enter 4 now. Then I need to do another one to actually let it enter. I'm just going to say 1. Noticing -1 went in there. Don't know why, but in any case, I'm going to keep on going. So it's actually running the whole if statement, but it does get to it's not 4, enter it again. I'm going to enter 4 this time. Somehow it's putting a minus on there. Oh, I have a minus in front of the scan. I don't think I've done that before. Well, I guess that's interesting to know that that's all it takes to put a minus value in there. All right, I'm going to run it again. Oops, I needed to enter. Let me come back. All right, enter 4 now, but then I need the scan. I'm going to try 1 again. All right, there it went in there right. Okay, looks like it lets me run the whole if statement, but it recognizes it's not a 4. This time I'm going to do a 2, and it says you will never learn. So far that looks good. One thing I tried before was the else if, or actually it's if else. So I'm going to just copy right into here just to see how it would work. So just looking at what the if else is it returns a value of the same shape as test, which is logical, which is why I figured out that the cat doesn't work for it, because the cat returns null. I'll come back to that. Anyway, just to see how a simple one works, if we use y and then we do an if else, then we say if y is greater than 0, then this, and if it's not, then this. So it outputted the second or the first one, so it is greater than 0. Wait, greater than 0. Y is minus 1. Oh, I had to look down. Return the true element. So the true elements is the second one. So it's not even the number 2, it's just that the second part is true. Okay, so if we take this that we just did, oops, I am on my other one. I'm going to take this that we just did. You can see that I ran this before to see how it would work. And then the only place that I see the if else would work is the simple one right here. So if we just said if else, and then we take out the else here, and we want to say this is the condition, and then we want to say that this should happen if it is true, and this should happen if it is false. Oh, I do need the closing brackets on there. And what I found is that this didn't work, again, because this returns null, not a logical value. So I will show that just really quickly. I will put in 2 and then go on to test it so that it goes into the else. It runs all of it, and it runs into something unexpected. Looks like the bracket is unexpected. Huh, I just looked at it with my other one and I don't see any double brackets in here. So what I'm going to try to show is if I do print instead, which doesn't return null, if that does what we want it to. So we'll scan. I'm going to put in the number 2 so that it will go into the else. Oh, it still doesn't like that bracket. Oh, I think I see what it is. It needs a close bracket for the if else before it reaches that final one. All right, one more time. Oops. One more time. So we're scanning in, which means here I'll put in a 1 this time. We'll come up here. We'll run all the way through it. So this is where it entered into the bottom else. I'll put in a 3. Interesting. It gave us this twice, and I'm not really sure why, but it didn't return any errors, which I'll go ahead and just, since I now have all my parentheses right, it will return an error with this one. We already have 3 in there, so it'll run into the else. What if I do 4 this time? Oh, okay, so it gave the error because of the cat. So to be able to use the if else and simplify it into one line, really all we needed to do was to use the print rather than cat. So right here, this is what let us do it. But if we did it in 2 lines, if and else, then that part didn't actually matter. So one more time, just to show it with print. Oops, let's do it this. Scan it in, I'll do a 1. We'll keep on going. It'll go all the way through. This time I'll enter 4. Oh, interesting. It went into the second one. I'd have to troubleshoot a little more to see why. Oh, it went into minus. Where did I get that extra minus from? I did it right here again. All right, if we want to make sure it's actually going to run through, come here. All right, we're scanning in. We're going to do a 1. Go into the if. It'll run all the way through. Now I'll enter a 4. And now it has thinks it's right. I'm still not sure why it's doing 2 of them. So if anyone knows offhand, let me know. Otherwise, I'll have to think a little bit more on that.